Hello, Tara here. I thought I'd do a little video blog for you guys today. Happy Mother's Day. I've had an influx of this particular question, so here goes. Basically, the question is about newborn and day sleeps, and so I'm going to give you some top tips today to get you on your way. So firstly, little ones get tired really quickly, so offering them regular opportunities for naps is really important. You're essentially looking at only around about 45 minutes to 60 minutes awake time for a little one, and that's including feeds. So if they're awake during feeds, it's really important to factor that in. And then they really only need, another 10 minutes max after that before they go down again. If they're sleeping throughout the feed, you might find that they, are happy to, be awake for a little bit of a period of time afterwards. And then the next thing is remembering that tired signs can be really deceiving. So sometimes for little ones, they're really obvious and you can sort of hit those cues right on for tired signs. But for other ones, it's much harder to be able to tell. And so what I recommend in that case is that you just run by that sort of standard awake time of say 45 minutes rather than always waiting for those tired signs. Sometimes you really are more likely to get them overtired when you're waiting for those, really defined sort of tired points. So keeping an eye on overstimulation and overtiredness is key. The next thing is offering them regular opportunities for sleep in their own safe sleep space. So just providing them the opportunity to go into their bassy or into their cot, for example, and just get familiar in that environment and comfortable. That can be really important from when they're young, often just providing them an environment that's conducive to sleep, so dark, semi-quietish, environment is quite important for little ones just to be able to wind down. They're so overstimulated, so that's definitely something I always keep in mind for young ones. The next point is basically feeds. So when you're feeding Bub, and Bub is always falling asleep on feeds, that's very normal and very natural for a newborn. But what can happen sometimes is they get caught up in this snack feed and snack sleep pattern. So in that case, I really recommend that you just work on keeping them a little bit more aware or as much as you can awake on that feed to have a really good feed so that then they're ready for the next section would be going to sleep. So when you can define it or just work on defining it, it just means that you know generally what's next. If they're snack feeding and snack sleeping their day away, you're kind of like, are they crying because they're hungry? Or they just had a bit of a feed, or maybe they're still tired because they only slept for a little bit on the feed. So you get really confused. So I tend to find that if, especially as they get older, the more that you can define those two, the better. And then you can work towards that feed, play and sleep should you wish to go down that track. And finally, I really love the idea of mini routines before Bubs go down for nap as well. And so with that, basically I just recommend that you change their nappy, swaddle them up, give them a cuddle and a kiss, and then try popping them down that way. Or even if you sing them a little song and then pop them down, just doing something repetitively before they go to sleep is a great way to cue them for sleep. And you might not see that they recognize it, from a really young age, but as they get older, you'll notice it more and more. So anyway, again, have a great day today and thanks for joining me.